Noida. We have been talking about innovative subjects and calling the who's who of healthcare industry from the management point of view to interact with you. So in this today's series of webinar, we are going to talk about a very important topic with the name of MedTech Growth Story of India. But before we go in, I will invite our president in the name of Dr. Yashpal Sharma to give a welcome address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ashish. First of all, I will welcome Dr. Jitendra Sharma and would like to say two things. One is that we are really proud of him, that is part of us, and he has made such a success story in the country. At present, he is working as Managing Director and Founder CEO at AMTZ. I have been to AMTZ and it's really a delight to see how it is made function in the shortest possible time, and the way of working is really amazing. So I think Dr. Ashish will be formally introducing him. So I will not get into the details of the awards and recognitions he has received nationally and internationally. He's a well-known person, and we really love you, Jitendra Sharma, and we are proud of you, and we're really thankful to you that today you agreed to spare your valuable time and share your experience. Second thing I would like to congratulate you is about your recent book, Made in Lockdown, and it's a really great story of how you helped in the pandemic by manufacturing almost 100 ventilators, 500 concentrators, 1 lakh N95 masks, and 10 lakh RT-PCR tests in a day. I'm not saying for the entire pandemic period. This is your contribution per day. So per day, giving 100 ventilators, 500 oxygen concentrators is a big deal. And the institute of Kalam's Institute, which you showed me last time, has been recognized by the WHO as a collaborative center for innovation. I congratulate you for that also. So it's a great opportunity for all of us. We're really happy that you are here, and I would request Dr. Ashish to formally introduce you before you take over for the session. Thank you once again, Dr. Jitendra Sharma. Over to you, Dr. Ashish.
Thank you, President Sir, for a crisp and brief introduction. Now, to set the ball rolling, I will introduce our speaker for the day, with the name of Dr. Jitendra Sharma. We at AHA know him for long. He has been associated with our activities. He is currently the Managing Director and Founder CEO of Andhra Pradesh MedTech Zone, which is Asia's first medical device manufacturing park. He is also the founder executive director of Kalam Institute of Health Technologies, as Dr. Yashpal Sharma has briefed to you, and he is the member secretary of National Medical Device Promotion Council and founder chairman of two medtech incubators, MediValley and BioValley. He has also established the Healthcare Technology Division in NHSRC, Ministry of Health, Government of India. He has written many papers, more than 30 research papers, authored 2 books, and moreover, as a person, I know him, a very dynamic, young, laughing, and very simple. He'll put the things so simply, you feel that it was there always around you. Why didn't I have a look at it? So I always envy you, Dr. Jitendra Sharma, for having that vision. And I will not stop short here, but simply say a few words about the topic. The topic he has chosen today is core to his heart, his day-to-day activity, as Dr. Yashpal Sharma rightly put through, that the COVID pandemic has actually catapulted such innovations in a big way. And who knew that India, under the people like Dr. Jitendra Sharma, can bounce back with enormous supply of medical devices and other supplies which fall short during the COVID lockdown, with all the supply chains and manufacturing units being closed, still able to meet the demand. So I will not be here for long. So I pass on the baton to Dr. Jitendra Sharma. Please, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ashish.
Sir, just a minute. For the attendees, you can put your mics on mute mode. You can put your questions in the chat box. Speaker will be there about for 40-45 minutes interacting, and thereafter there will be an open session where I will put your questions to him. And then in the last, some few statements of wisdom by the seniors who are already there in the program. So the program goes up to 5:10. Thank you, sir. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Ashish Gupta ji. My respectful namaskars to Dr. Yashpal Sharma ji. He has been at the spearhead of AHA. But before that, I will like to pay my most respectful and loving, respectful pranams to Dr. A.N. Safaya, who was one of the founders of AHA, my first boss, my guru in hospital administration, and a person who told me what is AHA. Before even I started interacting with AHA, it is the founder of AHA, Dr. Safaya, who actually told me about this wonderful organization. Also, people like Dr. Shakti Gupta, Dr. Yashpal Sharma, Dr. Poonam Rajput. I have had a good fortune of interacting for almost now 15 years on various matters with them, while I was in AIMS, when I was in ministry, when I was in WHO headquarters in Geneva for a few years, and since the time I set up the medical technology department in the Ministry of Health. There is a lot to learn, but I think what binds us together is one word that Dr. Yashpal Sharma used. You will not find these words used in any conference, any webinar, any society. He said, "We love you." That is the most scarce commodity in professionalism in all sectors. There is no love. And here, AHA has always tried to put together a family where love comes first, along with professionalism and brotherhood and familyhood. So I'm very grateful to be a recipient of this love from teachers, elders, colleagues, stalwarts for almost 1.5 decades. And I think it is this love for our work, for our patients, for our colleagues, for our country that makes us do wonderful things together. So Dr. Yashpal Sharma ji, my thanks to you for using that word love, क्योंकि आपने जो बात कही वो जनरली न कोई देता है न कहता है, खास करके प्रोफेशनल सर्कल्स में, एंड इट रियली शोज द एटीट्यूड विथ विच वी वर्क. आप इतनी दूर से हमारे यहाँ आए, इतना कुछ बताया, इतना कुछ देखा, and how you are spreading the good message of progress for country, it is something extremely nice. Now, whatever I've learned from my teachers in hospital administration when I was managing hospitals, as well as when I was in charge of almost 2,000 hospitals, small and big, in the state of Andhra Pradesh as advisor to the then CM. Medical care has 4 cost centers broadly. It is like a pizza with 4 parts. Part 1 is the infrastructure, the building, the HVAC, multiple things that make the civil structure of a hospital, the land, the electricity, and so on. That cost is never going to be in our control. Either the electrical infrastructure sector will decide the price per unit of electricity, or it is the real estate sector which will dictate the price of the land, or it is the building sector, construction sector which will decide the rate of the building. Which means one portion of the pie of healthcare is never going to be in our control, which is the infrastructure. The second pie is human resources. Human resources is also, as a cost center, never going to be in our control, because none of us want to be paid less. None of us want to be paid lesser than what we were getting earlier. The only place we can save cost is by human resource optimization in total number of units, but not cost per unit. That will never be in our control. Which means, as a cost center in the pie of healthcare, half the pie, 2 pies, half the circle is gone out of control. The third is the pharmaceutical sector. Thankfully, there India has played a very wonderful role over the decades. We are today a global pharmacy. except 40 odd active pharmaceutical ingredients that go into production of pharmaceutical products, per se, Indian medicines are one of the cheapest, best, and widely available across the world. Partly, this third pie is not a pie we should be extremely worried about, unless there are issues like intellectual property that makes the cost of these medicines and pharmaceutical products very prohibitive. Broadly, this sector, this part of the healthcare is in our control. My topic of presentation is in the fourth part of the circle, which is damagingly out of control from India and has a huge implication on the costs of care. That is the medical equipment sector. I have to again thank Dr. Shakti Gupta for this because I think he was one of the first persons after Dr. Safaya whom I saw kept giving presentations on medical equipment, and I used to wonder कि इतनी मेडिकल इक्विपमेंट के ऊपर प्रेजेंटेशन दे रहे हैं हॉस्पिटल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में भी, देयर मस्ट बी समथिंग अबाउट इट. So when I had the good fortune to join WHO headquarters in Geneva for a few years and got posted in the medical technology department, I dived deep as to what was the problem. The problem is India imports even today 43,000 crore worth of medical equipment every year. 43,000 crore worth of medical equipment every year is what private and public sector of India together imports per annum, which is larger than the public budget on medical care. I'm not seeing the out-of-pocket expenditure, but the outlay on health, the medical equipment import of the country is as good as that. Now, what is the reason? When India could make pharmaceutical products and become a world leader, why did we fail in medical equipment? The answer was simple, but in three parts. And I'll come to my presentation immediately after this. Reason one was, you take any pharmaceutical product, there would be 2, 3, or 4 combinations of chemicals or active pharmaceutical ingredients. But you take a machine, say dialysis machine, 278 components, each component having its own complexity around design, patents, engineering, components, assembly, integration, safety, and so on. Which means medical equipment which consists of large number of components integrated together to perform a function is technologically much more complex than a pharmaceutical product, which may be 2 or 3 chemicals. The second reason why India failed in medical equipment earlier and not in pharmaceutical is the heterogeneity of the sector. Most pharmaceutical products are chemical entities. Whereas you look at medical devices, and Dr. Yashpal Sharma ji deals every day supplying his state these devices for the public. You look at medical devices. N9 surgical mask is a textile. IR thermometer is electronic with sensor. X-ray is radiation, ionizing radiation medical technology. MRI is non-ionizing radiation medical technology. In vitro diagnostics is biologic and chemistry. Ophthalmology is physics. There is no one science that governs medical equipment sector. Surgical instruments is metallurgy, if you look at their base. Implants are also metallurgy. Now, there is no commonality between an implant and an MRI. The technological principles, components, everything is distinct, unlike pharmaceuticals. That is the second reason. And the third reason is, unlike pharmaceutical products, medical technology required large number of scientific industrial centers, which are not there anywhere in the world at the same place. So products from India used to go to Singapore or Germany for testing, until, and here is when I'll come to my presentation, we decided to make something called, let me share my screen. Yes. If you can see my screen, is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Until we decided to make a paradise for medical equipment in India, today AMTZ is world's largest medical devices cluster. We have over 100 companies. Medical technology, for its heterogeneity, requires 18 different kinds of laboratories, scientific industrial laboratories. If there is one place globally where all these 18 centers are available in one single place, it is AMTZ. And today, AMTZ is not only world's largest medical devices cluster, but a cluster which produces right from a mask to an MRI. Now, what we did is all the three problems of medical devices sector which had not allowed its growth like pharmaceuticals were sorted. And this campus spread across 8 kilometers, 300 acres. The phase one of this campus, built over about 3 million square feet, 30 lakh square feet, across 120 plus acre, was built in a record time of 342 days. And the entire campus was built between 3rd January 2018 to 12th December 2018. Thankfully, a year before COVID got in, such that it allowed us to pump in products at high scale when the country really needed it. So what did we do? We created something which is very unique. And here I will talk a little bit of policy and commerce. You know, if this is a remote control of an air conditioner, if I were to make this air conditioner remote control, obviously not all the components will be available in India. And therefore, I will have to import some components. Earlier, the basic customs duty on the spare parts and components of this product was 7.5%, and to import this product as a whole, the customs duty was 2.5%. Who will make it? If it is cheaper to import the product rather than importing its component, obviously the manufacturing becomes unviable. This is called as inverted duty structure. 2017, the government of India corrected, with the support of all of us and the knowledge we created on the HS codes of components used for medical devices, we corrected the inverted duty structure on all the major components of medical devices. The basic customs duty on finished product became 7.5%, and that on components and spares became 2.5%. That was a major milestone for correction. And right from an electromagnetic interference lab that you see on my screen to gamma irradiation facility, world's largest 3D printing center, implant testing center, printed circuit board manufacturing line, endoscopy camera line, ultrasonography probe line, because the probes you would use piezoelectric crystals, MRI magnets, not the MRI, CT scan tubes, not the CT scan. Now, what you see here in the first square on the left are all the scientific facilities required for medical devices. The second square is the core components which, if provided, leads to the growth of medical devices manufacturing, which we did. We started making the components. We started making accessories that are required. For example, dialyzer is required for dialysis machine. We started correction on the policy domain like inverted duty structure through Kalam Institute, you see in the center KIHT. We created an Indian Biomedical Skill Council under the National Skill Development Agency to accredit the medical technologies working in hospitals, R&D labs and factories. And we started incubating through our incubators through MediValley and BioValley. All these institutions were created in a span of less than 1.5 years. And these institutions, all basketed in one campus, started working like a rainbow, augmenting each other rather than duplicating each other. If Biomedical Skill Council, IBSC, becomes the accreditation agency for skill, then Kalam Institute does the policy correction. The MediValley and BioValley, like Silicon Valley, we have 2 valleys that do only startup support, create innovations. The components are being produced, the labs are there. And when all this is done, then we interface it with the Bureau of Indian Standards to create standards for medical devices, which did not exist till 2017. Since 2017, we have added over 1400 Indian standards for medical devices so that we don't have to forcefully write CE or FDA on the products we buy, because they are tested against the internationally harmonized standard. And then transparent specifications written in accordance with the international standards to be uploaded on GEM for public procurement. So when we do all this, then we make a sector's engine and the various parts of the engine work in harmonization with each other. As Dr. Yashpal Sharma ji mentioned, today we have just been nominated less than 10-15 days ago, world's first WHO collaborating center on health innovations, which by no means is a small feat. On health innovation today, there is a single WHO collaborating center globally, and that's us. And we are just honored and glad that with the blessings of national flag, the organization carries the name of Dr. Kalam, the Kalam Institute of Health Technology. I mentioned to you the Indian Biomedical Skill Council. Now there is something very interesting. When we make MRIs and when others make MRI in another country, those people can come to Meerut, Midnapur or Murshidabad to install the MRI we import. But our engineers cannot go to those countries to install the MRI because biomedical engineering is a regulated profession in those countries. There was a lack of skill portability. So we created the Indian Biomedical Skill Council, which accredits all biomedical engineers and medical technologists in this field across hospitals, R&D labs and factories, ensuring that not only our syllabus and curriculum and accreditation norms are harmonized with other skill councils, but in fact there is mutual recognition of skills, allowing in skill portability between the countries. As I mentioned to you, if there is one place globally where all the 18 centers required for medical devices production available in one single campus, it is us. You see some of the centers pictured here. We also have centers for advanced assembly technology integration, which is required by the manufacturers. We have material analysis and metal 3D printing centers, which allows manufacturers to get into implants, surgical instruments. You know, until the Pulwama attack, most of the surgical instruments in India used to come for Sialkot because that is the base in Pakistan. Now, after the increase of customs duty, after the Pulwama incident, we have been dependent on other countries like Germany, Italy, and so on for import of surgical instruments. And we faced this huge crisis when the COVID came because mucormycosis, the black fungus, required surgical instruments of high precision and medical grade. Today, we are in position to produce those medical instruments locally. And this is what we eventually did. During the COVID, if 12 lakh COVID RT-PCR kits were needed in a single day in the country, we had the ability to supply 10 lakhs out of the 12 lakhs kits from one single place in India. Until then, we used to import it from Korea at 4,000 rupees plus. Gradually, the price was going down, but it was still unaffordable. But we built up a capacity that today, in a day, we can produce about 100 ventilators across the hundreds of companies that we have here, 500 oxygen concentrators, 1 lakh masks, 5,000 kits, 1 MRI a week, 1 CT scan a week. about 20 ultrasound machines a week, and 1 million RT-PCR test kits a day, which is the highest production capacity globally from a single campus. And right from a pulse oximeter to a superconducting magnet of an MRI, everything we can make today. This is also interesting from an administration perspective, because if you take an MRI, 80% of the cost of an MRI is on the magnet. There are only 2 places in the world where magnet is made. So what do? If we have to make affordable MRI, 1.5 Tesla MRI, then we need to make the magnets. So every time we hit a roadblock, we go to the root cause of the roadblock. Dr. Ashish Gupta ji has actually taught us root cause analysis and failure mode and effect analysis in the quality management course decades ago. These are principles that we apply. The same principles that our teachers and colleagues and experts have taught us, we apply in medical engineering to produce what country needs. And then comes the programmatic innovation. We could make mobile RT-PCR lab not just for sample collection with 2 holes coming out of the bus, but an entire air handling unit, clean room facility on a Bharat Benz truck that you see here, which was inaugurated by the Union Health Minister during COVID, where an entire RT-PCR, ELISA, biochem, hematology, all tests can be done on a vehicle. O2 Home is interesting because that is where we talk about democratization of technology. Now, we make oxygen concentrator that costs about 60,000 rupees for a 10 LPM machine. How many people can afford a 10 LPM, 60,000 rupees oxygen concentrator if their salary is less than 20,000 or 30,000 a month? Here, the fundamental principle is that when the cost of product or cost of technology is high and need is occasional, we convert that product into a service. When the cost is high and the need is occasional, that's the right formula for a product to become a service. What did we do? We simply signed an MOU with Uber India. We sent hundreds of oxygen concentrator in hundreds of cities to India. Hundreds of cities in India were sent hundreds of oxygen concentrators from our center. In each of these cities, we tied up with the Atal Incubation Mission Center or the BioNest Center of Department of Science and Technology and parked our oxygen concentrator with an attendant. We created an app called O2 Home, where anyone could actually order an oxygen concentrator on rent for 400 rupees. The Uber cab would get an alert from us. The Uber cab will come to our center, sanitize, pick up the oxygen concentrator, take it to the patient's house, give it, train them. After 5 days, collect back the oxygen concentrator, or after 10 days, collect back the oxygen concentrator. 400 rupees a day, the care could cost 2,000 or 3,000 rupees and not 60,000 rupees. Because after those 8 or 10 days, the person will never need oxygen concentrator. And therefore, this actually helped us save humongous amount of lives at a very, very affordable cost. This concentrator program was applauded internationally for the way in which we innovated and partnered with our colleagues in the society to allow oxygen concentrators to reach. What happens if the oxygen concentrator doesn't come back or breaks or gets lost? We have taken insurance on the entire inventory so that there is no loss. Similarly, when the oxygen generation shortage was felt in hospital, now PSA plant once put in economically is far more expensive than the cryogenic plant. And therefore, after the COVID, PSA plant would become elephants. They would consume a lot of finances and their viability would be less because the cost is higher. We could plant an entire oxygen plant in wheels, we call it oxy-wheel, which could support oxygen generation at the point of care. Today, a country which was import dependent, you see there is not a single place on the map of India which does not get medical products supplied by AMTZ. From a net importer, today, we are an exporter. You see the poster there where the Indian ambassador to Thailand or Taiwan or Vietnam or Indonesia, all the places that we shipped our products, they stand with pride The same countries which used to export us and we would import, today we are in a position to supply them back with dignity. We have converted the country into a net exporter in medical technology. The Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, the BRICS countries, AMTZ is part of the BRICS Manufacturing Working Group, and the BRICS Council, which was chaired by the 5 prime ministers last year, late last year in November, has approved now a Center of Excellence for Medical Technology for all the BRICS countries at AMTZ. That is the kind of glory and growth we have been able to bring for India. And just to close my presentation, all this that I mentioned, right from the story of building of AMTZ in 342 days, right from creating an institution called Kalam Institute in the name of Dr. Kalam, to creation of Indian Biomedical Skill Council, to production, to reach. All this has been documented in a book that I have been fortunate to author, Made in Lockdown. You see the lockdown word, there is a lock and there is an unlock, and the story captured in this book is what gets captured, what was existing between the lockdown and the opening up of the economy and the society during and after COVID. The book has been endorsed by Shri Amitabh Kantji, the CEO Niti Aayog. As a senior fellow of Niti Aayog, it is my good fortune to work with people like him, Dr. Vinod Paul, the member Niti Aayog, and so on, whom we have been honored to host at AMTZ and show them the might of India in medical technology. The book is also endorsed by Professor Vijay Raghavan, the Principal Scientific Advisor to Government of India, a father figure for all of us in science and technology, and also our good friend and brand ambassador, Virendra Sehwag, who has always stood by us, batting for us, for MedTech, for growth of India in this sector. In the summary, all I want to say is, every situation we encounter in medical field is very painful. It is like a needle. A needle is made of stainless steel. It cannot be cut. You cannot touch it from all sides because it can prick. And it is very hard. But a thread, a simple dhaga, which can be torn, it is a mere mass of cotton, which can be cut. If the dhaga, the thread, can find the right hole in the needle, then the same thread makes the needle dance around. जो सुई का कोई तोड़ नहीं है, जो कि सशक्त है, जो कि स्टील की बनी हुई है, उसको एक धागा अपनी उंगलियों पे नचाता है, बिकॉज धागे को उस सुई का छेद कहां है ये पता चल जाता है. And therefore, so long as we are able to discover one door, one gateway, one opportunity in the toughest of situations, we have the ability as Indian entrepreneurs, as Indian medical entrepreneurs, to take advantage of the problem and convert it into an opportunity. Our story is the story of converting that problem, that needle, into a stitchable thread and needle pair. Our story, Made in Lockdown, is of the story that converts a problem into opportunity for benefit of society and for promotion of good quality, well-tested, well-validated, affordable and democratized medical technology to the citizens of India, and also as a gift of global health to the world. With that, thank you for the opportunity. Jai Hind, and I look forward to questions.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Jitendra. It was really nice presentation. We are really very happy to have you here and listen to how you have made an impact in the healthcare industry. Unfortunately, Dr. Ashish has to leave in between because of some medical emergency at home. So, first of all, I compliment to your efforts in capacity building, like 100 ventilators in a day, 500 oxygen concentrators, 1 lakh masks, and I'm surprised that you told us that 1 CT scan in a week, and in addition, MRI also you are manufacturing at that place. I have been to that place, I told earlier also, and the way it is displayed, it's really wonderful. You have in front of every building mentioned in how many days it has been constructed, and really it is surprising that some buildings in 60 days, some buildings in 30 days. It's really amazing. And capacity building, especially during the pandemic, has helped India a lot. A country during the pandemic, when we were suffering, we didn't have anything of our own. You started manufacturing many things, and I witnessed to it, especially the RT-PCR, how the you know manufacturing was going on. It is really amazing. And your focus on innovations and partnership is really appreciable, especially mobile RT-PCR van, then mobile ICUs, which you have been making. And another thing you told is oxygen home app. That was really wonderful, how the product was converted into a service. The person like you could only think and make it happen, and it really helped people to get the oxygen concentrators when there were no oxygen concentrators. That too with the help of Uber. When Uber was not having anything, they were sitting at home. They were not able to earn their livelihood. You gave livelihood to both Uber as well as the people who were manufacturing the oxygen concentrator. Other, I would like to say that OxyWheel is another innovation which is really appreciable, because you rightly said that the oxygen concentrators, oxygen generation plants, which have been put in place in many states in large numbers, these have become white elephants, because now the requirement of oxygen is not that much. And I hope in the coming many years it is not going to be there. But we will still have to maintain those oxygen plants at the cost of many other activities which we are supposed to do in the institutions and are not able to do. So, OxyWheel generation, OxyWheel innovation, that means generation at the point of care, is really a great innovation. And putting down all these, your experiences in the form of a book that is made in lockdown is really appreciable. There are many things which you would have, told the today's webinar, but I know that the time is less, and you have spoken very well. I really appreciate. We have many people, senior people, who want to comment.
So Dr. Rajiv Jain sir wants to ask one question, sir.
Dr. Rajiv Kumar Jain is here. He is waving his hand. I'll request him to please ask his question or give his comment. Thank you.
Yeah. Dr. Jitendra, I must compliment you for an outstanding presentation of the prowess of Indian technology and Indian organizational ability to create uh, specific zones for medical technology diffusion. And actually, this will set a ball rolling for the India to take a lead. And this was a blind spot earlier. What I'm really concerned about is the impression that we are exporting. How much assurance is there in terms of meeting global quality standards? That clarification I would like to have. That's one. Second, one AMTZ, and you require much more for a continent like country like India. What are the plans for actually having more than 500 AMTZs like institution across the country?
So thank you very much. Both questions are very good. I want to share my screen again just to show you something. These are live CCTV cameras. If you can bear with me for a moment. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can see.
Yeah. You see a live RT-PCR line. You can you see my screen properly?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, we can see it all.
No, this is a live RT-PCR line I'm showing you. You can see the CCTV camera image on the top, along with the time, date, everything, right? Now I'll stop presenting the screen. I'll tell you the first question. Now, quality means nothing if it cannot be validated by a third party. So what happens is, in medical technology, depending upon the product portfolio, we have internationally harmonized standards. All the electromedical devices need IEC, implants need ASTM standards, and so on. These standards have to be tested in NABL or ILAC accredited laboratories for product testing. These labs, even if they are wrong by 1%, will be giving wrong reports. That's why we need accreditation for labs then. Once these labs are passing a product based on internationally harmonized standards, so MRI standard is the same globally, IEC 60601-2-33. That's the standard we follow. Now, when the lab tests this MRI for the standard and passes, this report has to be accepted by the regulator, C in European Union, FDA in US, PMDA in Japan, TGA in Australia, CDSCO in India, and so on. And that is called regulated market authorization of a good quality product. Now, you rightly mentioned, for us, the blind spot was having laboratories which can work as notified bodies. So before we started producing, we lined up all the scientific laboratories, got them right from A2L in America to NABL in India accreditation, so that before we produce, transparent third-party notified bodies accredited by regulator are there to test the product and authorize its quality. So that's the quality paradigm. The second question is even more microeconomic, and it's actually the critical part. You are actually asking the absolute center point of the question, center point of the problem. You see, AMTZ is today 100 plus companies. I started AMTZ with 10,001 rupees. Now, of all the companies AMTZ put together, in 3 years, 2 months is about 8,600 crores. Now, India's market of medical devices itself is 60,000 crore. Just Indian market. Even if we were to expand AMTZ and have 250 companies, we will be touching not more than 15 to 20,000 crore worth of production per annum in this location, which is a huge location, but still that is our cutoff. Now, India needs at least 3 to 4 more such zones. And for that, I chaired the scheme of medical devices park scheme of Government of India, which is empowered committees chaired by the Niti Aayog CEO. And when we drafted the scheme, we presented it to Finance Ministry, and Government of India has now approved setting up 4 more zones on the lines of AMTZ, so that our net production is about 1 lakh crore in about 3 to 5 years per annum. And then we can say that not only we produce for ourselves, but we are net exporter. But this is a work in progress. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sharma. Definitely, India will take a lead beyond pharmaceuticals in medical devices with you at the helm of affairs. Thank you so much.
But I think, sir, you have rightly pointed out, we need many more such organizations, medtech zones. Dr. Sharma is, I think, will be planning for 1 or 2 more in some other places. Dr. Shalu Verma has raised the hand. Dr. Shalu, please, you can, ask the question.
Good evening, sir. This is Shalu Verma, sir. I'm calling from Assam, Guwahati, sir. Thank you so much. Such an informative and educative session for us. And we are very privileged to have such information that I was not knowing before. a very brief and a very good presentation, sir. Sir, I just wanted to know, for launching any medical devices in India, basically you are working in and you're heading that department. What are the challenges you are facing? What are the challenges you are facing to develop like mask to a MRI machine? What is the government support, and any incidents would you like to share with us, sir?
Yes, again, thank you very much. I will not only share a challenge, but you can actually from Assam be a part of the solution. Now, N95 mask was a shortage at one point of time. We started producing, but N95 mask is made of spun-bound and melt-blown fabric. India does not produce enough melt-blown fabric. Assam, for example, which is a very resourceful and nature-bound state, can be a hub of medical textiles. You also have rubber in Assam. All you need is a cluster of companies that can come together, and they will need textile processing and gamma irradiation facility. You can actually make a medical textile hub in a place like Assam. Because it does not have a port, nobody will make a 10-ton magnet MRI there. But certainly medical textiles can come. Similarly, places like Jammu Kashmir, Himachal, Uttarakhand, diagnostic reagents can come, rapid diagnostic kits can come, because these are possible to be produced. So the major challenge we always encounter in medical devices is supply of critical core components. It could be an oxygen sensor or a valve coming from Germany or Italy or Japan. It could be as happened in the COVID wave 2, oxygen concentrator was in shortage because oil-free 1 HP compressor was not being made in India. Now, it's something as small as a compressor which inhibited our supply. And therefore, so long as we can plan for critical component supply, all it takes is planned production. With planned production, what is required, and this is a must for hospital administrators, transparent, ethically designed scientific specifications for procurement. Because see, as a hospital administrator, if you write FDA or CE, which is only a mark of a regulator and not a standard, then you are also not giving a fair chance to the Indian suppliers. And therefore, what we all can do together is critical component supply, ensuring critical component supply, and ensuring that in our procurement, the specifications that are used are transparent and fair to our clients as well as our suppliers. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. In fact, we have with us Dr. Vipin Kaushal. I would request him to come in for a comment, and then I'll make another request to him.
Hello, Dr. Yashpal.
Yeah, sir. Sir, please.
Audible? So this was really going on very good. But the problem, Dr. Sharma, you said we should go for innovations, indigenizations, and all those things. That's very true. And you have put a lot of responsibility on the hospital administrators. But the question is, in the use of technology, these are the clinicians. And Make in India these days, we have to go largely for that. But largely the resistance come from our brethren, the clinicians. It really makes things tough for us. One, there are the government regulations. No doubt we have to promote our own things. We have learned a lot in the corona times, as you told. But the real challenge, we all hospital administrators have to come over to make confidence what we are manufacturing. That is very important.
Absolutely.
So I will go with those comments only. Thank you.
Absolutely great point. All I have to say is you are right. Unless the users of these technologies are educated and made aware of, we will not be able to influence their decision positively and transparently towards good quality Indian-made medical products. But the answer is we can do that by creating experience centers. Today, we make mobile ICUs. in a 40 by 8 feet container. We make 8 bedded ICUs right from Taran Taran in the border of Pakistan and India till PHC in Mizoram or Meghalaya. We have been able to supply mobile ICUs. We have a mobile Indian made hospital experience center. We will be contacting through AHA. We will be planning to take this Indian made medical hospital as a bus across the country in partnership with AHA, bringing good branding for AHA as well as for Made in India medical devices as a Bharat Yatra for Made in India medical products.
That's we will strive hard to do all this, and as a team, the core hospital administrators and on this forum, I think if we take a pledge, we should go for this, and we should, as our PM also said today in the post-budget webinar, that we should have the local solutions for the local problems. So, Dr. Jashpal Sharma, as the president of the AHA, I think we should have something to work on this. I think this is a good initiative, and we should proceed further with this, what Dr. J.K. Sharma has told. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kaushal. Thank you very much. We have with us Colonel Pramod Kumar also. I will request him to please chip in for the remarks. Do we have Colonel Pramod here?
Yes, sir.
Any other? Yeah.
Sir is shown in the call, sir, but I think is not physically available.
Okay. So, anybody else wants to make a comment? So before I formally say thanks to Dr. Jitendra Kumar Sharma, I would like to request all the HODs who are here, or otherwise also I'm going to send a request to all the head of the departments to please ensure that at least the postgraduate students are there in the webinar, because AHA has been striving hard with getting the faculty members, and that too very good faculty members for such webinars. So if they miss such webinars, I think it is a loss to them, and most probably they are not getting the information right in time. One is that the HODs are requested to please inform them, or please also ensure that they become the student members, or if they are eligible, they can become members of AHA, so that we can spread the message in much needed manner. And then I will also request Dr. Vipan Kaushal and others who are there to please suggest the next topic or the next speaker, because it should not be always from our side that we sitting at the AHA in the board of executive always suggest some members. I mean, the suggestions should come from your side also. I will request Dr. Vipan to take lead for the next webinar and suggest us some topic so that we can.
Okay, Dr. Yash, I will take that responsibility, and think when will be the next one to keep.
We do it fortnightly, so.
Okay. I will give you the topic within 2-3 days.
Right, sir. We'll get in touch.
That will be fine. Or you want to discuss it here in forum?
No, we'll get in touch with you. My only request is that I want involvement of each one of the members. So if we last time Dr. Rajiv gave us a very good presentation, and before that also, this is 17th webinar basically. So we are getting very good people here, and a lot of appreciation is there for them. And then these webinars are available on our YouTube also, Facebook, and other social media channels. So you are requested to visit the social media platforms also of AHA and share it, like it, so that we can spread the message across the country, especially amongst the hospital administrators. So we are really thankful, Dr. Jitendra, to you, and we really